welcome to the Real on Parenting, where doing things out of order or putting things in order can get you cussed out by therapist Danielle. So
Right. Oh man.
I
Have
am,
me.
oh goodness, I am
Okay.
your host, Coach Kiana Shaw, your co-host, Coach Kiana Shaw,
And
and
I'm
my
therapist
co-host.
Danielle. Yeah, I'm still on one.
Yeah,
All
okay,
right.
yeah. I I moved some things around in a Google document
Without
and
permission
then
or
with
informing,
without
okay?
without permission or informing, because it's important to have that part of the story. And Danielle about lost it.
No, 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 no. If it wasn't for your laughter, where I saw all the way in the back of your throat, okay, well, did something change that I clearly did not know about? But now that
But I was
I know.
telling her that I changed it. But listen, I'm gonna stay over here in my zone. Let's get started because clearly I'm in danger. And I
Danger. Because they even the word because I'll be making up songs. Anyways, okay.
all right. So we are on part 2 of our question and answers.
Yes.
This is based on a joint venture we did with We Are Rise Inc. Shout out to the ladies over there, Dr.
Yes.
Ebony and Ariana. We appreciate your partnership, your friendship, your collaborations. We do. And so we were talking about like some of the questions that we got from there, as well as some questions we get from our inbox and from our emails. And so please, please, please be sure to drop us a message. If you have a question that you want to email us about, send it to therealonparenting@gmail.com. You can always send us an inbox message on Instagram. If you are in the Real on Parenting Facebook group, you can put it in there. We are always happy to address things as we go forward. That being said, let's go, Danielle. We were picking
Yes.
up. This is based on the questions that were asked, so we just kind of group things together in categories so we can address the categories instead of the questions because it's a lot of questions. All right.
Right, right. So let's start with the lack of confidence or self-esteem.
All right.
How as a parent do we build up our children's self-confidence? As parents, for the most part, I would say a good handful of us kind of do feel that we've done all the things, that makes our children feel great about themselves.
Absolutely.
However, that may be the latter. So if you have a older elementary kid, so like fifth grade, but sometimes sixth grade, depending on the school, but even just adolescents and in teenage years, their self-esteem is taking a blow. Just society, all that is forced upon them,
Mm-hmm.
that as a parent we are very limited on what we can filter these days of what our children have access to, because unfortunately they have access to a lot,
Yeah.
that for you as a parent may not want your child to even have access or have even known of those things. So, and then just as well as their body's changing, their voice is changing, you know it's a lot of change that's happening. It's their body, but they also have no control over it.
Right.
So one of the things that, or one of many things, is that as a parent, you should be pouring into their self-confidence on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be little nuggets here and there. So for example, something that I do, I like to write, write in calligraphy. So weekly, I put a positive quote or affirmation on my daughter's mirror in her bathroom because she's forever in the mirror. So I put it where she is. So she sees it daily.
You gonna
Also,
quit coming for my niece in public. You hear me?
I think we all were too. I was always in the mirror at that age as well. So, put things where your children will be and where they're going to see it. If you put it, where the cleaner products are, they ain't gonna ever see that. They'll be in there. So just be realistic on where to put it. So, but I put quotes on her mirrors. I put quotes. I have a whiteboard. She has like a whiteboard with her calendar. I put little
Mhm.
positive quotes. Sometimes I don't even know what to say, and so I let Pinterest think for me. And I appreciate that. And I just pick what is, appropriate and what aligns with what my daughter may be struggling with, or a life event that may even just align with that.
Hmm.
So that's little things that one of many little things that you can do. Also, when your children are trying hard, they may have had a test or an assignment or came across something that was just difficult in nature and they got through it. You can acknowledge you did a really hard thing and it took a lot of bravery. It took a lot of courage to do it or to stick with it. But so good job with seeing it through. It's kind of
Hmm.
like speaking to what your kids are doing, speaking life into them. You have anything you want to add to that?
Yes.
Excuse me.
So focusing on their skill development, right? Like encourage them, at this age to build on, it's like build on their confidence through activities. So it's like self-defense classes go a long way, particularly for young girls, right? Being in control of their bodies, they are less likely to be reckless with them, right? Because they have, whether it's dance, whether it's self-esteem, like they have an appreciation for how their body moves. It's a really self-conscious thing. Um, Subconscious thing, not self-conscious.
I know what you
Um,
mean. That's why I nod my head, but I know what you meant.
and then, allowing them to have mentors, again, moms and dads. This is not just about you connecting
Yes.
with your kid, but giving them
Mhm.
the resources of mentorship, right? Whether we talked in the last episode about how my daughter can go to you, she can go to Naisha, she can go to Janita, she can go to grandma. There
Mhm.
are plenty of people that she can go to get great advice and things like that. But that mentorship, right,
Right.
will help her to exemplify confidence and with trusted people who I trust to guide her. I know that Trey, my sister Trey, will guide her. I know that the women in my life are equipped, right?
Right.
Kayla goes to her auntie Adrian for pretty much everything, right? Because she trusts her, and Adrian
Mhm.
always comes to her with love, um, and she doesn't feel like she's talking to a friend, but she also don't feel like she's talking to her mama. And
Right.
that's
Right.
important. And you got
Exactly.
to take your
It
ego out of
is.
it because they
Mhm.
need to be able to talk to other people. I find a lot of
Yeah.
moms, in particular, I should say a lot of parents, because I've seen this with males who have male mentors as well. But a lot of parents are, I don't want to say threatened, but they're not comfortable with their children spending time with other adults because it's like,
And
oh,
some could be
well,
threatened. That could be the word.
well, okay. I was trying to spare a
No,
couple of feelings,
no,
but
no.
clearly
There
we're
you
just
go.
right
Don't
now.
spare it. Yeah. Mhm.
So that's it. Getting them to understand the skill development and mentorship is very important.
Yeah. And then I think that by default as parents, especially if you have girls, you want to say, "Oh, you're pretty, you're beautiful, you're these things," which is nice.
Hmm.
But within that, it's kind of like a double-edged sword when you are identifying I would say physicalities, physical
Hmm.
features, if you will,
Right.
um, that a child usually equates to who they are and identify with that. And so the reason why I'm saying this is for example, my daughter, well, she's always been into makeup. I'm the latter. I'll be having her tell me, honey, is this how it goes? You put on this way? And she'd be like, oh, well, hook mommy up because clearly I don't know. But there was a phase that my daughter had went through where she felt that if she did not have on the mascara, if she didn't have on the face, her version of face, she's not walking
Hmm.
around with a full beat, but her version of face,
Right.
that she didn't no longer have the self-esteem that she had prior to even experimenting with makeup. And so there was that
Mm.
discussion that made me think of girl, what movie was that? What was this? Basically was telling you you make the money don't make you. But anyways, don't put my black card.
Players Club.
There you go. See, don't come for me. Don't come for me. Please don't. But you get my point. My point is that basically I was telling
Don't
my
tell
daughter,
us what
like,
to do.
do this.
You the one.
Right. Don't come for me, okay? But basically what I was telling my daughter that, or reminding her that the makeup doesn't make you beautiful. You were already beautiful beforehand.
Right.
and
There to
attributes of
enhance.
who exactly, but attributes of who you are, not what you look like. The look like is a cherry on top, okay? Because everybody don't,
Hmm.
let's be honest, everybody just physically don't have the features. However, you do, and that's a cherry on top. So speaking to, and even though I've done this from her being younger, but am seeing like, okay, it needs to be done more frequently, especially in this phase of her life where I am identifying, I would say her skill set. She is naturally creative in a
She
good
is.
handful of ways, just natural. I don't have that. If it ain't a 1, 2, 3, I don't want to deal with it as far as creativity, okay? But she has that. I'm serious. It bring out a whole nother version of Danielle, which I don't want to see.
Oh my
But she
God.
naturally has a skill set related to creativity, regarding designing, regarding all these things. And I'm seeing, okay, I need to speak to those more. I need
Hmm.
to acknowledge that is what she has naturally for her, and that pours into her self-esteem, because it's like, okay, these are things that nobody can take away from you, honey. Like, you naturally got that. And the same with your children have things that they are naturally talented or interested in. Hone in on that as well, especially during this phase of their life, and speak to those things. Like, I see that you built that dollhouse. You built that dollhouse from the structure to the designing, which is
Hmm.
something that my daughter did at eight
Right.
years old. You know what I mean? And it's built from there. So speak to, give words to, give focus to those attributes of your children that makes them them.
Right.
And that in itself also helps with boosting their self-esteem and self-confidence.
Absolutely. And I think that so not I think,
Excuse me.
but one of the things I'm constantly telling Kayla is people need to be able to say more than you're cute. They need to be able to
There you
talk
go.
about your character, your integrity, your leadership skills. You understand what I'm saying? Like the things that we
Yes.
value is what I want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm at her school and people are like, "Your daughter is so sweet and she communicates so well," like we had a meeting and at the end the vice principal was like, "So can she lead the peer counseling group?" And I'm like,
Right. As she
"No."
should. No, I would say as she should. She should be the assistant. Yes, because the thing I'm thinking later on, run her some money. But anyways, but go ahead.
Listen, and so I'm somewhere between lawyer and psychologist. Like she's settling in, you know what I mean? But
So,
but
she can do both. Okay.
so she wanted to be a Power Ranger and a princess. So I'm allowing her to evolve. But
Right.
people being able to speak to her character
Right.
because not that I think her beauty will ever fade, but I do understand that you can be a beautiful person with a ugly attitude, ugly disposition in life. And so it's like,
Mhm.
congratulations on your face, but the rest of you needs
Hmm.
work. And so I am
Exactly.
very big on, I don't care about people saying that we are beautiful. I care about people saying that we have heart. We have the
Yes.
heart of God.
Hmm.
I care about people saying that when they call us for help, we're coming and we coming with resources, we coming with backup.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? I
Right.
care about that. I don't care about your size. I don't want your self-esteem tied to your weight.
Too.
You understand what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah, the
And she's really
physicality.
thin, but I grew up with my self-esteem tied to my weight. And when I released that, it was just a whole new world for me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
let people speak negatively about her physicality. Like you, someone said something about the side of her stomach, and you know, she went through a chunky phase, right? And I was just like,
Hmm.
come here. Let,
Yeah.
let me holler at
Yes.
you, grown woman who felt the need to
Right.
comment.
Yeah.
And now, you know,
Whose
she,
stomach
I
has
won't say we don't
triple
talk. I'm gonna say she
bypass
don't
my
talk to
child's stomach,
me.
but right.
Right. But she don't talk to me because, you know, that conversation was effective.
Right. And we know what the me smile mean, right? So,
Wait, no,
but
see, this isn't the mean smile because it was the mean smile that didn't show teeth. The-
okay, that's the accomplished
this
mama
was
smile.
it was the accomplished mama smile as I sit back with my tea and
Yeah.
try to channel my inner Jennifer Lewis, okay?
Right, and tap yourself on the back because you did what you understood how you're supposed to advocate for your child.
Absolutely. And I did that. And so
Yes,
now,
yes.
listen, and when I do it, I'm gonna move on because I was about to say something that's gonna take us down a rabbit hole. Okay,
Right. We go there quickly. But wait, I was saying something else. I don't remember. So then let's move on to the
let's
next.
move
Okay.
on.
The, the next one I would say, I don't even want to say trigger. It's not a trigger for me. I would say it is something that is an ongoing or has been an ongoing discussion within my family, with my
Mhm.
kids, adults in minors, in regards to giving up.
Mm,
It's like, how do you teach your kid not to give up when things are hard? How do you teach your kids how to address challenges with something that they're wanting, but is a bit more difficult than what they thought it would be, or just difficult if
right,
at all? And then also when you just don't want to do it no more. You know what I mean? There may be things, because our children, they feel that there are times where have certain interests, but when they see the work that needs to go in, they're like, "Oh, I'm cool." So
right.
how do you navigate, all those aspects and even just things in life? Um, so if you have not even just presented or talked to your child or children about
Mhm.
setting goals, you need to.
Yeah.
And that means you don't have goals. You need to sit down and come up with some. Okay. And so a goal
Sounds
is
like you're
what
telling people what to do. Okay, go
I
ahead. I'm
am.
listening.
I am, because it goes down to that modeling, like things that you are talking to your children about, telling them that they need to do. You cannot expect them to do it when you're not even doing it for yourself. You're not even actively practicing or doing yourself.
Yeah.
So coming up with goals, having goals is something that every person should have. Going with the flow only lasts so long. And also there's that level of motivation, hopefully, that sometimes it will give you to work towards achievement, whether that's personal goals, and a goal can be whatever you want it to be.
Right.
So one, making sure that it is realistic. Is it doable? And if it's doable, also, is it realistic? So well, she's older now, but when my daughter was younger, I would give her goals to work towards on a monthly basis. So, and the goals,
That's a good idea.
but I think, yes, but let me further explain it. And once again, this is when she was younger. So the monthly goals were actually related to the things that I wanted to instill in her, as far as making sure that she knew how to care for herself.
Right. So they were your goals for her.
Correct. So, for
No, I mean,
example,
because
it would
that's how it
be,
starts.
yes,
I'm
yes,
not clowning that at all. That's how it
yes,
starts.
yeah. So it would be pertaining to her room, so the tidiness of her room. So for 1 month, we were focusing on, we're making sure we're putting your dirty clothes. No, that you're not, I would say that you're putting your dirty clothes in the dirty hamper. And if you see a clothing item that's not in the dirty hamper, you put it in there. And
Mhm.
so I noticed that when it was one thing at a time to focus on, even though the next month's goal was something different, she had practiced that. So it's kind of like in the rotation, if you will, that
Got it.
when it was time to add another aspect in regard to just cleanliness, it didn't fall out her head. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it resulted in her being overwhelmed with all these different things. Adult's version of cleaning is totally different from a child's. So those were things that I did with her along the way, and some that I circled back to where now it's like, okay, she knows from top to bottom what that includes as far as actually being deemed clean, and then also the difference between deep clean. And then also there's times where, as she I want to say it was like 6, 7, is when I say, okay, you come up with your own goal for this month. What are we focusing on?
Right.
And have her come up with that, but also I will help her break that down. So it was like, I want to paint this. She was really into painting. I want to paint this picture. Okay, so what do you need to do? Do you know how to paint it? You have to buy paint. So you get what I'm saying. Breaking
Yeah.
it down into those small steps, but also holding her accountable. But as far as that encouragement aspect, encourage her, holding her accountable, and then doing it with her, joining her. And then when we actually did end up doing the whole, I turned into a thing. It was like don't come for me, but like a paint and sip for kids. But obviously they not sipping nothing. It's just I had one of her little kid, her friends.
Little water,
Let's see,
little what
little
is it?
juice.
Peach flavored juice.
You know what
Like,
I'm
come
saying?
on now.
But yeah, and it was really, really cute, So, but that in
Put it
itself,
in a wine glass or a champagne
and
glass,
that's what
and
we
they love
did.
it.
That's what
Hmm.
we did. And so, but it basically reinforced the fact that, okay, I can achieve something. Yes, I can create a goal. Yes, I can achieve it. But also now I understand that I have to create these small steps to get to the bigger picture. So help your kids learn how to create goals for themselves, how to break down those goals to those small steps so that they can achieve those goals. It's teaching life skills. And that's what I think a lot of parents or a lot of people just don't realize that it does.
Yeah. And those life skills are absolutely necessary. I think sometimes we don't consider how important life skills are and how early we should be teaching them.
Early, 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 early,
There are
early,
some
early,
things
early.
I saw a picture. It was in a group that I'm in, and it was the room of the child, and she's 17. And when I say that it wasn't just a messy room, I'm talking about we got food and something growing in the
Mm,
bowl. We
mm,
had like, you know what I'm
mm.
saying? And I was going looking at it, and the moms are like, some of the moms were saying things like, well, it's her space, but she's getting ready to go share space because she's headed to college. That's gonna cause a fight because you can't
It
come in
is.
here with this mess. What are you
I
talking
lived that
about?
experience for the roommate, and it was exactly that. It was.
Yeah.
I won, but however, it was quite the experience. It was quite the experience,
And for those
if
who
you
got
will.
questions, therapist
Right.
Danielle ain't an easy win. Okay, like that. That's all I'm gonna
But
say on that.
yes, but yeah, but those life lessons are very, very important, and having the proper understanding of, I mean, your space is your room, your space is your house. However, you still got to clean it.
Yep. And
And if
it's
you
just
running
important to
around
do it.
because you about to have company try to clean your room,
Right.
man, get it together. Get it together.
So I think that an important thing to remember is like as we are setting goals or helping our daughters set their own goals, right? Which is a
Hmm.
reminder to me, like Kayla got a whole vision board in there and it's behind the door. We need to move it to a more
Mm,
prominent place
hmm. Hmm.
because she hardly ever closes her
Yes.
door, right? And we
Yeah.
talked about that in the last episode, but
Right.
um, but
Right.
celebrating the small wins so that our kids are, able to recognize their achievements because that boosts their
Hmm.
motivation, right?
Hmm.
I always
Hmm.
tell kids like you're never going to motivate yourself into doing things. You have to do yourself into motivation. Meaning, I can hype you up to get there to
Right.
it's for your first day of exercise, but it's when you get in there and then you start seeing the
Hmm. Yeah.
changes. That's
Right.
when you start doing yourself and to be motivated because you're seeing the impact. So
Yes.
when we're celebrating the small wins, our kids get a reinforcement that they're doing something, and that's going to keep them with their motivation. As parents, I think sometimes we go, "Oh no, let them relax." And if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would say, "Get more intense. Get more intense.
Okay.
You
Okay.
need to dive into these things. Get focused on those things make decisions about that make you know what I mean like because the mindset of we are stressing our kids out by making them think
Oh no.
that is
No, 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 no.
self-defeating. It is
No.
absolutely self-defeating, so we have to stop that. It doesn't work.
Yes. But it makes
They
me
need
think
to.
of my daughter plays volleyball, and these past couple of weeks she just has not been feeling it. And I always say that we've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
The newness of it all, the excitement, the razzle dazzle of it all has burnt off. And so yes, it's because it's kind of like, oh, I get to wear the cute volleyball shorts, and it eventually wears off.
Yeah.
So it was, honey, let's go. And of course, like she's dragging and coming up with all the things to
Mm-hmm.
hopefully not have to go. And so when she made it through her volleyball week of practice, if you will, and in the end, I said, "Are you glad that you went?" And she said, "You know what? I kind of am." And she was like, but why is that? Because I really didn't want to go. And so my daughter is the type of person I've given her the space to ask questions as a way of understanding. So
Mm-hmm.
she was like, why in the end, like I'm good, like I'm glad I went, but I really didn't want to go. And I said, girl, I know. And so but I said, mommy understands because
Yeah.
I played all the sports, and within that, it wasn't like every day I was like, yes, let's go to practice. No, that's not realistic. And nor did it happen that way. But I understood my role and my obligation to my team and
Mm-hmm.
also to myself.
Yeah.
There were certain things that I wanted for me that in order to get that, I had to go. And I said, and I know there's certain goals that you have for you that you going is what's going to help you reach that goal. So I'm here to continue to support you when you can no longer support yourself or you need the extra oomph to get there. So good job to you with making it through the week. And she was like, thank you, Mama. But it's kind of like as a parent, keeping your eyes open to those opportunities to be able to have that life lesson, reinforced, identifying certain things, speaking into them, and and building their self-esteem. Um, and I think also like with sports as well, I think that I think this is an easy way to kind of segue some of those life lessons,
Mm-hmm.
especially I don't what's coming to mind is like push through, but that triggers something else in me. But more so of not giving up when it gets hard, when you don't get a play or don't understand it. Don't give up. Keep
Yeah.
trying because it takes practice. Right? Keep trying, keep practicing so that you can get to a place where there's improvement.
And I love
Um.
that you are aware of your triggers because you
Oh
stop
yeah,
yourself often.
I do.
And I think that you kind of like be like, okay, I said it. But I appreciate it as someone who, has had triggers and didn't understand. So I did a Facebook Live with my friend Adrian, and I was talking about like I can be triggered and it's my anxiety and sometimes it can show up, in what people would say is mean girl behavior, not that I'm being mean, but like
Right.
when I am triggered in a certain way, I cut ties. People say that's mean girl. I say it's self-preservation, right? Um, but
Right.
I understand that if we don't recognize our triggers, they become bigger things.
They do.
And I'm just big on it not becoming a bigger thing.
Good
I
and
don't
good for
want the
you.
bigger thing.
Right, 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 right. It's the creating, making nothing into something,
Right.
kind of, that's at least what I call it. But yes,
Absolutely. So
but thank you for
I just
that.
want to say thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you. And you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right.
All
So
right.
let's go into the next category, if you will, related to questions that we were asked.
I think the problem solving skills, right?
Okay.
So a lot of parents had questions like, how do I help my daughter solve her problems? How do I help my son, get over this situation, get through this situation? And um, I think that sometimes we have a tendency as parents to take over. Let me help
Yeah.
you by making it
Yeah.
for you, making this decision for
Right.
you.
For you.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think that we can benefit from mind mapping, right? When we were, at least for me, in like
But some people don't know what that is.
I'm about to
So do
explain it.
you?
So it's like
Okay. Okay.
I think it was English class, critical thinking classes. You have a mind map, and it's like, here's the problem in the center. And then we have all these little sticks drawn out. And then we, for each stick, we give a solution or,
Hmm.
maybe a step to finishing or fixing it or whatever. And then like maybe, so let's say the problem is I can't see, right? So one of the things may be get glasses. So
Hmm.
on the outskirts of get glasses, it might be see a doctor, right? Because we need a proper prescription. You don't want to just be out there, getting your readers from the 99-cent store, which I have
Some
done.
do. No
Don't judge.
disrespect. But okay. Right. 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 We got that disclaimer. We understand. All right.
Right. But a proper prescription is
Right.
probably in
Right.
order. So
Hmm.
it's like it's all the little things. So if your kid is saying, I have a problem with this teacher, then it's like have a conversation with the teacher. Another brain thought might be, what if the teacher is disrespectful and doesn't receive it.
Because that happens.
Okay, do we call mom in? Do we call dad in? Do we call another teacher in who can talk to that teacher? Do we go straight to administration? You understand what I'm saying? So it might be, so
Right.
that's what I mean by mind mapping, helping our
Okay.
kids like draw it out. What are the options? And then allowing them to solve it, even if you disagree.
Yes.
If it's not
Say
gonna
it
hurt
again.
them,
Say it again.
even if you disagree. If it's
Yes.
something dealing with this teacher, because I'm big on allowing my daughter to have banter with me so that she learns to communicate with adults in an assertive way that is not disrespectful. The problem is we tell our kids, come to me, come to me, come to me. And then when they finally get to an age where they have to handle an adult, they can't.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
the adult is
Mm-hmm.
so good at their communication that
That's
our
it.
kids are shut down and then they never recover, right? And they become
Right.
adults who are just like really passive. I don't like that. I want my daughter to move in that assertive and
Mm-hmm.
aggressive space. Like we're gonna do this
Assertive.
pendulum swing
Mm-hmm.
and aggressive. Yeah, I heard you try to correct me.
I did. No, and I will come with another word. Not aggressive. It's okay. I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna get it before the show is over. But
I
I'm gonna do the
said
translation
what
for
I
you.
said.
I
I
heard. I
want
hear
her
you,
to.
Mama. I hear you, Mama. Kiana. I'm gonna tell Kayla what
We
the
are
word
in
is.
this
Okay.
phase of
Okay.
life.
But we
We
are.
have
We
all
are.
these people in our life. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
is not going to respect that assertive. And I think that there's in assertive communication, you have that ability to confront conflict, right?
Right. Right.
Aggressive on the other
Okay.
end is that ability to start a conflict. I want her to swing in the
Yeah.
middle, but I don't want
Okay.
her to be the person that goes along to get along, right? I don't want
I
her to be the
understand.
person
Right.
that keeps the peace around her at the cost of the peace inside of her, right?
Her. Mm-hmm.
Um so I get it. You want her to stay assertive, and I want her to do more assertive. But I want her to be able to
No,
switch
she
over.
should have it in her. Yeah, well, the gangster Kiki. That's what it
Listen,
is.
that thug
Just have her
nature
in the back
and that
pocket.
Christian
Just have
walk
it in the
in the
back
same
pocket there.
house works for me.
Right, right. And then, but so in another like real life, realistic situation is navigating and problem solving within friendships. Um, how
Yeah.
I am, like you said, like I don't cut it shutting down. I call it, you showed me, I believed you the first time, and I'm
So
making my decision.
I disassociated. Yeah, for my own peace and sanity. Yes.
I'm out. So there is no second time because I believe you first. But anyway, I understand that we are human and we make mistakes, but just not with me. Anyway, but my daughter, she is the total opposite way when it comes to giving people second chances, allowing them to what I call be in my space or be in her space, despite
Mm-hmm.
certain things that has happened. So a lot of problem solving with navigating, especially with girls, say the cattiness starts very, very early.
Child.
Unfortunately, like second and third grade, you can't even make a complete sentence. What are you guys talking about? But however, there are issues. And so helping her
Yeah,
learn
yeah,
how
please
to,
don't shut all the kids down. Like you can't make a complete sentence. Shut
it's
your
like
mouth.
we're still learning how to write an essay, like what is happening here? But you know, teaching her and navigating her through the problem solving aspect, the communication, what are the options? And at that young, they don't know what the options are, and even at 10 and 11, they still may not know what those options are. So identifying what those options are for her. So even though, like what Coach Kiana said, I was giving her all the options, I had to bite my tongue because my default was
Oh, sorry.
you're not her friend. She is not your friend. You're not her friend. Leave her alone.
Right.
And my daughter's like, well, no, she has shown that she can be nice. And I said, but what she choose? But anyways, but the thing is, I did allow her to have that space for her to choose. And don't get me
Yes.
wrong, I was in the background saying, but remember, she showed you. So, if she continued to show you again, you cannot really be as upset or hurt because you chose that for you. And
Absolutely.
so, with being young, of course, there are many heartbreaks, if you will, or I don't even want to give it that term, or just being disappointed. There you go, disappointments because of wanting that friend to uphold how she perceived them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so now when we have the conversations, it was like, yeah, mom, I understand. Like she did show me, but I wanted to give her another chance. But I know for sure now. And that's her way of processing. Whereas me on the inside, I'm saying, but she didn't even have to show you the second time. But I had to let her, walk through and navigate that. But she is aware that she has choice, but she is aware of her choices that she may choose as a way of problem solving, what those ramifications or results may be.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, yes, I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end it on that.
All right.
All right. So my next one, when our what to do when our kids are easily overwhelmed, or when we as parents are even easily overwhelmed. I know the term time management is extremely popular, but I hate it. I prefer the term task management because you can't manage time. Time is going to pass no matter what we do. And
Mhm.
so we can't manage time, but we can manage our tasks within the time frame that we have. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes, it does.
So I am big on task management, having the checklist. What can I do in this time frame? Going, okay, like I work really good in like 30 to 90-minute blocks. It just depends on how that mind is going that day. Sometimes I can't do a full 90 minutes. We got to break that on
Right.
day. Listen, some
Right.
days I'm like, let me do as
Mm.
much as I can in this commercial break. Okay. Like I
Right.
can,
Right.
but I know that
I
about myself
understand.
and I move
Hmm.
accordingly, right? Like on those days where I cannot function, like focus and
Hmm.
in long blocks of time, those are days that I clean up, right?
Okay.
Because I can do 30 minutes here and then I can go clean up for 15 minutes. I can come back
Hmm.
and do 30 minutes. Sometimes I'm like, nope, I can't, I'm not ready. So then I keep cleaning, but there's always some physical task that I can do for the days that like I can't function mentally. I don't want to say can't function, but like my focus is split. I don't want to
Yes. The
self-declare ADD.
multitasking. Yeah, it's the
Right.
multitasking
And so
and the
I
burnout.
think that one of the ways we can help ourselves and our children not to be overwhelmed is to teach them, to manage the task effectively so that they're not overwhelmed. Okay, what can you be doing now? Sometimes parents, the way to not be overwhelmed is the task to be doing is resting. Let me put it that way.
Mhm.
Because y'all, a
Yes.
lot of times we think that resting is laziness. We think that resting is not doing anything. Resting is an activity. I want to be very clear about that. Resting is very much so an activity. So having the ability to go, these are the tasks that need to be done, whether it's paying bills, recording a podcast, getting homework done, getting dinner done, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's Sunday evening. Let me figure out what I'm making for the week. Tacos is always a good go-to because we can always freeze half the meat. We can eat tacos a couple of days, then we can take a break, switch to something else, and we can go back to tacos on the days that it's like, yeah, I ain't cooking, right? So
Yeah.
I always have taco meat. There's always a seasoning, there's always
Hmm.
something in the freezer that can be made into tacos. Okay.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and so that's a way to manage the task. Cleaning up, the kitchen is one of those daily things, but the living room is not, right? Someone gave me a perspective the other day. I was like, I need to clean up. And she said, what could you possibly have to clean up? And I was like, well, I need to put this away. She said, okay, so say you need to put things away. That's not the same as cleaning up. Just putting things
Right.
back where they
Yes,
go.
it's tidying. Right, right.
Right. You understand? And that I was just like, oh my goodness. I tried it the very next day and I was like, I just need to put these things away. It gave me a calmer sense than I gotta clean up because I gotta clean up has so much urgency and details.
Right. And
I,
it ain't just one thing. Right. It's
yeah,
a
and
whole
it's like
process.
it's literally 3 bags that just gotta be folded and go up under the sink. That's not cleaning up.
Yeah.
That's just putting things away. That
I'm
was a
actually gonna
huge
add
help for
that
me.
to my board and her board. Put things away. That
Put
might help
things
both of us calm
away.
down, okay? So thank you to whoever shared that with you. So and
That
sometimes it's
was
like
Diane
it can.
Jones,
Oh,
your mother's
thank you,
twin.
Diane. So because with that, sometimes I think we get far removed from the simplicity
Yes.
and where it is just simple. But what
Yes.
we put on it, we don't realize the impact that's having on us emotionally and also our children. Um, so sometimes we are the reason why our children feel overwhelmed, me included. Okay.
Ooh, we
When I tell
ouch. I'm gonna
you,
say ouch
when
right
I
there.
tell you, yes, because when I tell you that as a parent, you always got something for your kids to do, right? We always have something that they could be doing.
Yeah.
With that, I can name off six right now, but I can because it's Saturday. It's a new day and it's a whole week, a different weekend to-do list.
Yes.
but,
Facts.
but, but with that though, I have provided my daughter with a space. I keep saying that, but I also want you to understand that when she does use her space, I don't want you to be like, okay, honey, I'm listening. Sometimes I'm like, what? Who, the real life of it all is I'm in my space. I'm in my mom to do brain and all that. So sometimes the therapist slash gentle parenting or whatever you want to give it, the coin name
Mm-hmm.
is not there when she's wanting to use her space accordingly.
Right.
But there's been times where she's told me, Mom, it's too much. And
Mm.
I would say, some of you are like, too much of what? You not
Right.
paying bills. You not going outside to do the work. You know what I mean? But it's like, no. When I have that response to her, even when that thought comes in my head, I'd be like, okay, I would say, give mommy a moment.
Right.
And that's so I can kind of get myself together. And I do come back to her, not later on in the day, just in that moment. Okay, what's going on? What is too much? And
Right.
then within that, I acknowledge, okay, the things I asked you to do or told you to do is a bit much for you in this moment. So let's break it down. And then that's when we go to, the task
You on my
management. So,
toes right now. You stepping
so
all on my
I
feet.
would say this, does this occur every single time? No, it doesn't. Because also children will be children. It's kind of like you were told to do these two things over since Saturday, and here we are Sunday, 5 o'clock p.m. It's too much. Yes, it's too much. Correct. So use that energy from it being too much because you chose to lag how long, it took you to do it and the time you actually had to do it to right now. So no, you're overwhelmed because you feel stressed, but that was brought upon yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There is no breaks and there is no breaking down. It's get it done. So
Yeah.
understanding, the within this navigation for your kids, they will be kids, but also your awareness of self.
Yeah. I said you were stepping on my toes because sometimes I can be a bit dismissive. Like, girl, it's not that much. You know what I mean? But in the moment, right? Because we forget our kids are dealing with a whole nother world at school. There's
And their
bullying there.
kids.
There's
Yeah, yeah.
and their kids, right? There's that part. But
Mm-hmm.
there's bullying at school. Um there's teachers that, for whatever reason don't like you. I know that,
Right.
parents forget
Yeah,
that those teachers really do exist when
they
we are
do.
in our adult lives, but they absolutely do exist. There's mean girl activity, there's mean boy activity, there's um the stress of academics, and we go, oh, you're fine because we made it through. It's not the same.
It's not.
And so I
Yeah.
like this conversation is making me go, okay. And I'm big on apologizing to my daughter. Like, I already sent
Yes,
her the
yes.
text, like, hey, thank you for choosing your words. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
From last week, I appreciate that. That being said, I want to sit down and have a conversation with her. I get it. Even if it is something that you just need to breathe on, I got to give you the space to breathe. Like, that's important. And
Right.
it doesn't take anything away to just let her
Mm-hmm.
freaking breathe. Like, if she's like, this is too much. So Kayla has said to me before, like, I can't, my brain doesn't work like that. I can't have seven different tasks. Give me one. Let me pause. Right.
I think
So
that's when we
the
communicate too
compromise,
well. Yes,
huh?
because it's like no tab 30. That's the thing. So that's why we communicate so well. Because it's like no tab 30 for me, 20 for you, and then we could resume. My daughter be
Right.
like, "What? You ain't got the tabs? Okay, so I have to figure I need to go back to the drawing board. But go ahead.
And I think that I forget that just because she can't do 1 through 12 doesn't mean that she can't do 1 and then do 2
The
and then do 3.
mm-hmm.
What it looks like for me and
Right.
what it looks like for her are very different things. And so
Yes.
that
Yes.
realization in this conversation, I'm just like, okay, mommy got to go back, right? Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning too. Like, and
Yeah.
that's the grace I asked her to give me. I am learning with you. I have a way I do things, and I look to you to get it done the way I would do it, but that's not always fair. Don't mean
Right.
that I
Say it
don't
again.
expect it to get done, but it's
Yes.
not always fair
It's
to
fair.
expect you to do
Yes.
it the way I want you to do it, and sometimes not even
Mm-hmm.
in the time frame. Now I do try to give enough of a
Mm-hmm.
time frame, and then I
Yes.
go, okay, let's also be realistic that some of the reason that you can't get it done is because you're distracted by your phone. Let's pull that away.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's get the task done. And then we'll come back to the
Yes.
socialization that
Right. Right.
apparently is the center of the universe for
Right.
sixth
And
graders.
it is right for all ages, unfortunately.
I can't
Right.
take it, but okay.
But but very true. How we as parents, this as an individual, how we do things does not have to be how our children should do it. Um, and so keeping that in mind as well.
Yes.
One last thing I wanted to add is, and this may be a learning opportunity for parents as well, giving your child space to be still. Coach Kiana mentioned like rest is a
Mm,
task too, but giving your child space to do nothing, to settle their mind. You need to join as well. As parents, we need to settle it, okay? It needs to be quiet, and so that may be listening to your favorite song. That may be called YouTube University. That may be looking up some relaxing sounds or relaxing
yeah.
views. That can be the ocean, that can be mountains, that can be a chirping of a bird, not an eagle. It is the inside thing, but it can just learning how to get to a space of getting settled and centered. And
Yeah.
that can be very difficult for some people because you don't always have to be doing, you don't always have to be going. And if you are, it's not healthy. And that's what you're
Yeah.
modeling for your children
Yeah. Be mindful if you have to be on the move all the
all
time.
the time. You don't
What
always have to
what
be
are you
doing something
hiding
all
from?
the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are you hiding from in plain sight? And I think that a lot of adults, when I see people constantly on the move, I always wonder, like, how come you're not comfortable sitting quietly and still? What are the
Yeah, that's a good
thoughts that
question.
flow through your brain, and
Hmm.
how can I help you with them? You know what I mean? Like that's a big
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's do one more.
Okay. You want to transition into the friendships, the bad friendships?
I don't want to skip that one. Okay. All right. Because
I
listen,
think that applies even as adults.
these middle school
Yes.
years, I'm just like,
Whew.
are there any real friendships? And there has to be because there are great kids,
Yeah.
but yeah, sometimes, and then also teaching our kids that sometimes who your friend is today and who will be
Right.
your friend in a couple of months, a couple of weeks, a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't transit that turnover is quick,
Right.
but yeah.
Because it's associates versus friendships, but our kids
Right.
only know the terms
Friend.
friendships, right? And so
Hmm.
that's a harsh thing. But being able to talk to my daughter about the qualities of a good friend, like you mentioned earlier, like that's not your friend. Leave her alone, stop
Right.
talking to her. But
Right.
having her list out like what do you think are the qualities of a good friend, and then seeing those qualities, now I can go when she's interacting with people, is this
That's
person the
possible.
list, is
Yeah.
are they the list, everything on the list,
Yes.
do you see that in them? What other
Hmm.
qualities do you see in them, good or
Hmm.
bad, right?
Right.
um
Exactly.
because if nowhere on your list did I see gossip, nowhere on your
Drama.
list did I see drama, right?
Hmm.
So is this person the list? Are you the list? Are you what you want in a friend? Because that's
Right.
a big thing.
Yes. Yes. I
So
agree.
I'm big on that. Having I encourage parents to do that with their kids. Make a
Mhm.
list. What are the qualities of a good friend?
Yeah.
Mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. You know what I'm saying? What are the qualities of a good friend?
Yes,
And are
and
you
I
that?
think yes, yes. And then and I will hit on a little bit of something and then go on to the next thing. But um if your child is way of functioning is wanting to make people feel better, I would say be and that may be from derived from the parent as well as for having
Mhm.
an impact on that or influence, I should say, on that. I
Right.
want you to be very mindful on the friends that they're quote unquote gravitated towards. Are they
Yes.
always gravitated towards that friend that needs help? Or I was helping
Ooh.
them? Or they're, oh, they just need someone to talk to, because when they're
That's
younger, it's not as extreme as when they become 15, 16, and 17. Be mindful of that. It doesn't come out of nowhere. It is something that has happened or is happening within the household. Not, and I'm not coming for anyone. I'm just trying to open your eyes.
right. Because they can transition to being adults who are
It will
constantly trying to save
transition.
people.
It will
And,
transition.
what's the term? Captain Saver? Okay.
Mhm.
Um,
But it will transition. And unfortunately,
that was
this
not
days and
okay.
age, but unfortunately, this day and age, unfortunately, extremely unfortunately, a lot of the troubles that teens and adolescents are struggling,
Yeah.
is a depressive aspect, is they're trying to cope and they may turn to earlier use or experimentation of drugs.
Yeah.
They may be cutting, they may be harming themselves, and your kid doesn't know what the heck, they don't know what to do with that. Their parents don't know what to do with it, let alone your child.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind when you're coming up with a list. And I do feel a list should be created. It should be written out and referenced. If you are seeing that your friends always need your help, then that's something to kind of a red flag about, because it should be balanced. The same way that your friends need help, they should be able to help you in the same way,
Yes.
and support you and explain the difference. But I just have to say that. Um, I was going to say, oh, so, and then I think we already talked about supporting their decisions. At least I did. I know I did because I told her to cut them off and she wanted to give them a second chance. But, um, but with
But
that,
in that, teach them when to walk away, right?
yes,
Because
yes.
I support our kids being forgiving.
Yes, she is, but I will say she's now, and I would still do it different, but it works for her. She has a three strike you're out. I mean, she doesn't call it that. That's what I call it mentally. But yes,
Mhm.
she's kind of like, okay, you showed me, we've talked about it, and that's her preference, reference. She's actually talked to that person in detail about what happened, what she didn't like, what she doesn't want to occur again, to give them
Right.
a second chance. So if it does occur again or happen again, she's like, okay, they were aware, and that was an active choice. And obviously,
Right.
depending on the
Because
nuances,
sometimes
if you
people be
will,
taking them
determine.
calculated risks, and it's like, okay,
No, they do, but I don't allow them to
you
happen.
have
But
risks
anyways,
losing
this is
me.
not about me. So, but with that, for my daughter, she's now, I would say, kind of has figured out her threshold, right? Her threshold, her emotional threshold, which is 2 to 3. You got a 2 to 3 with her. I got a 1, but she has a 2 to 3, but I had to give her that space to figure that out for herself.
Right.
Because as mama, like, because if I could have went up to the school for her, I would have been there. However, what would that would have taught her? Okay, or as far as life lessons, when
I
she is on her
mean,
own, because it'd be my mama. My mama was still trying to come up to the college, right? So I don't want that for her. I remember how that feels, and she was coming. Okay, if you didn't see the thing, the episode, Miss Donna was coming. Auntie Donna, she was on her way. So I didn't want that for my daughter. I reminded myself of that. Give her the space to figure it out with what we discussed. Let her implement it. Let her
yeah,
see what it feels. Let her execute it. So,
absolutely.
yeah,
We good?
we are good.
All right. Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Real on Parenting here on KCCR Brownstone Worldwide Radio. We let's see. I think we're almost finished with this season.
We are
Wrapping up.
almost
Yet
done. We
another.
are almost, I will say, and another one in the books. Almost there.
Almost there, almost there. So you guys feel free to send us an email at therealonparenting@gmail.com. Join us for our Facebook Lives. Go ahead and subscribe and click what's the little bell thing so that, or follow us and then
Yes, for
subscribe.
notifications.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Follow and then subscribe, right? Click the little notification bell thingy because that's my description of it. So that when we go live, you can jump in, you can ask us questions live, and we can go from there. We're excited about that. Thank you, Danielle, for taking this ride with me.
Oh, of course. We always have fun, okay?
We'll see you guys on the next episode. Talk to you